All right, welcome back to episode 2 of the Married with Media podcast. We are switching it up this week.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about some movie news. And I guess entertainment news a little bit. I don't know. I guess ultimately it's movie news. I don't know.
Taking it back to the live stream era.
Right. And then we're going to be talking about some stuff that we've watched.
Yeah.
So, I think we just want to quickly say thank you for checking out our first episode.
Good response for last week.
Yeah, last week's episode, our first episode. I think that I don't know. I don't feel like we had many expectations with it.
No.
Obviously, everybody hopes that people will listen. But yeah, it was definitely something that we weren't sure about. Literally everybody has a podcast. So it is kind of annoying to be like, we have a podcast. It's like, oh boy, another one, that's
I do want to point out though that you were able to get it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we'll try to link that down below.
Yeah.
In this video, because when we did it last week, we weren't sure.
Yeah.
Like how to do it, but you spent the entire next day. Credit to you.
Well, honestly,
to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, it didn't take me the whole day.
Well,
it was actually pretty simple. Sometimes things are just like it sounds like it's going to be difficult, but it's actually not as difficult as you think. But anyway, so yeah, definitely. Just wanted to say thanks for checking out our first episode, and let's get into episode 2. So I think we're going to start with some movie news.
We're going to start with some movie news.
Movie news topics. And we'll just kind of, chat about them and our thoughts on it. And then.
Yeah, pretty similar to what we did in the live stream. And we're not saying that we won't ever do a live stream anymore, but definitely like the weekly format for that is.
Yeah.
I would say done with.
Yeah.
For sure. We may do some sporadic lives at certain times, but.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah.
You want me to get right into the first story?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to have to pop up some images on the screen. I may look slightly over to the computer.
Okay.
Every now and then, because we are on video form as well. But let's talk about the Oscar nominations. We got 10 movies nominated for Best Picture. Now, I'm not going to go into every single category. We're just going to talk about Best Picture.
Yeah.
Because I think at some point, like right before the Oscars, when we've seen more of the movies and have more of an opinion, we'll probably do like some kind of Oscar predictions on a podcast episode. But
yeah, I'm just pulling them up on my phone so I don't have to.
Do you want to read off what they are, and then we can talk about them a little bit?
Can you see it or no?
Yeah, I can see it. Okay. But I have to look over there.
So I think that we should just, as we go, we'll say whether or not we've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read them?
Go for it.
Anora.
So we have not seen that.
We have not. Now it is kind of our goal to see them all before the Oscars, but that will also depend on like which ones go to streaming, because we're not making it out to the theater to see 4 hours of The Brutalist or anything.
Right. Yeah, definitely let us know if you guys have any interest in us, any like Oscar coverage, basically.
Yeah.
We have, like you mentioned, we have thought about doing an episode just about the Oscars, specifically the Best Picture nominations. We kind of wanted to just watch all of them.
Yeah.
That way we can actually say whether or not we think that they deserve it or who should win, because I feel like it doesn't really count if you haven't seen them all.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
So anyway, just let us know what you guys think about that.
The Brutalist, which I just talked about, we have not seen. That one's still in the theaters. Complete Unknown.
Nope.
We've also got Conclave.
Nope.
Which is on Peacock.
It is.
It's on Peacock. A Complete Unknown, I think, is still in the theaters. Wicked.
Nope.
That one is getting ready to come out on physical 4K. We also got Dune Part 2, which I own that. I've seen that, but you haven't seen that.
Right.
Emilia Pérez, which we started to watch on Netflix. We can talk about more on that here in a second. Nickel Boys, which
have not.
I've barely heard like anything about this movie.
Same.
But it's out there. I know that. The Substance. We've seen The Substance.
We have
talked
seen
about
it.
The Substance. It's one of our favorites.
Yep.
And then the last one is I'm Still Here.
Yep, and have not seen that one.
So, like, to me, now here's the thing about the Oscar movies. Like, most of the time, the movies that are nominated for Best Picture are the ones that come out like towards the end of the year. So that naturally they would be like the ones you haven't seen yet.
Oh, you think?
Because most of the time, like it's always recency bias. That's why people
Really
will hold on to these like real like emotional dramas, gripping movies till the end of the year, and then they'll release them all at once, like in the last couple of months of the year. That's why a lot of people were kind of surprised that Dune Part 2 was even nominated because it came out in April. So the fact that it could still like hold on, to it and still get nominated like is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But also it's Dune Part 2. So but a movie like Challengers, I feel like if that would have came out in November or December, like maybe would have been nominated for Best Picture. But because it came out like April or May, people have forgot about it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are calling that like a snub. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any of these movies, except for 2 and then 2.5, basically, and you've seen 1.5.
It does feel like it would fit, the criteria.
I think it kind of just speaks to the disassociation with like, the critics and the like film fans in general, because I don't feel like the ones that people are hyping up like in the film movie community are the same ones that are being nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, I think without going on too much about this, I do feel like it could be a whole episode.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot to say about.
Like, I know you weren't a huge fan of like, Strange Darling, but that was a pretty like artistic movie that I think could have squeezed into the Best Picture category over some of these films, but it's also a genre film, and that's usually disrespected as well. We're lucky we got the substance in there. Honestly, like in a normal year, a movie like that would not be nominated, but it's kind of caught on like wildfire over the past couple of months.
I think. Yeah. There's definitely, I don't want to go like on a rant or, whatever you want to call it. I feel like there's a lot to say about the movies that are selected and not selected.
And again, like, since we haven't seen them, I can't speak to Nora may be amazing. The Brutalist I've heard is amazing. A Complete Unknown's like a biopic musical. Those like always get picked to be in Best Picture. I'm not Bohemian Rhapsody was Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
So we usually see that kind of stuff a lot. But Wicked, like that's a commercially successful movie, and that made it in there.
I still don't know about being, picture, but anyway.
The big news here, I think, and I could probably take this off screen, is Emilia Pérez, because not only was it nominated for Best Picture, it was also nominated for 13 Academy Awards, which puts it up there with like the biggest movies of all time. I think like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Titanic, like I think La La Land maybe got 13 nominations as well. So that's a pretty big deal for that movie, and it's a Netflix film. What do you think about that movie?
Yeah,
having seen half of it.
We have seen half of it. It's funny that it has so many nominations, but it seems like the public is very confused about it. They don't understand why this movie has received the nominations, which it could just be the pages that I follow and stuff. I don't know, but it does seem like a lot of people are like, why was this nominated?
It's pretty widespread.
This movie is not good. And so I will just quickly say, being halfway through, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm not saying that it's good or that I'm enjoying it necessarily, but it's just not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Again, I guess I don't really want to say, like, having not finished it yet. But yeah, it's very interesting. And again, I do feel like we could do a whole episode about this. I feel like I have a lot to say about, this movie is about, diversity.
Yeah.
And so I'll just say this. I don't feel like a movie should be nominated for anything just because of the subject matter that it represents.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that it's about diversity, but it's alienating the diverse groups that it's trying to champion.
Yeah.
You know, and the people that are in those groups don't even like this movie.
Right.
From what I'm seeing.
Right.
So to me, like I'll be pretty raw and unfiltered with my thoughts so far. I think it's maybe the worst movie I've ever seen be nominated for Best Picture. And I haven't seen all the Best Picture movies.
Right.
So I don't know. But like of all the movies I've seen, like it's the worst that I've ever seen be nominated for Best Picture. The movie borderlines on like scary movie like parody to me. Like it's just so ridiculous and outlandish and musical numbers for no reason. I thought it was horrible. Just the half the movie that we watched.
Well, I mean, it is a musical.
It is.
And so when you say for no reason, I mean it
I mean, like, why make it a musical? What about the movie?
Why make any movie a musical?
Oh, that's a good point too. But I just don't think it fits with like you got. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with you on that one. And I'm not trying to defend the movie. I feel like it sounds like I am. But yeah, I don't know. Again, let us know. Should we do a whole video about this? I do feel like once we finish the movie, I feel like there is a lot to say. But yeah, I know that we.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just don't get it because the movie's got like a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, so
well,
it's like
nothing.
Critics are championing this film,
right?
And then the actual public saw it, and it was like, what is this? Like, what kind of BS are you all trying to pull over on us with this movie?
Well, that is the thing. I mean,
it felt like an artificial like hype machine, like they were trying to make this an important movie,
right?
That like pushed through the zeitgeist and became like a part of like pop culture forever. And it's not that movie. It's not strong enough of a movie to be that movie.
Yeah. So, well, again, I do feel like there is a, barrier between the people at these award shows, the people that nominate these films or whatever, and then the average movie watcher or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been like
there always has, but at least like before, even if it's like a pretentious hoity-toity like drama film, you could still see the merit in it, you know? Yeah. So like, okay, I get it. It's a good movie. It's well made. Like Emilia Pérez is not any of those things. Like there was backlash on when Moonlight won Best Picture. I love Moonlight. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
So this is not the same thing to me.
Okay. So. Well, I know that we have another topic
involving the actress Emilia Pérez.
That goes off of this, so we might as well just go ahead and talk about that.
Which is pretty funny that all this comes out like right after it gets nominated for 13 Academy Awards.
I mean,
because people obviously had seen this before, probably. I don't think this was a secret to some people.
Well, we'll leave that up there for a few more seconds. But yeah, so the actress that was in this movie, she's been nominated for Best Actress.
Yep.
Is that right? And I will just throw this out here, having only been halfway in, I don't consider her the lead.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Well, we just kind of got to the part where she was maybe taking over for Zoe Saldana. Like maybe the rest of the movie, like she is the forefront.
Yeah, like to me, Zoe is the lead actress here, and I know that you said she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Yeah. So anyway, very interesting stuff. Like you said, we are only halfway into it, so again, everything we say is just kind of.
But yeah, I mean, it's a historic nomination, first trans actress to be nominated, which should be a big deal, but like she doesn't deserve it.
Well, listen, that goes back into what I said. I hate.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like hateful and negative or whatever. But I just can't stand it when diversity sometimes to me it just feels like diversity becomes like they do it just to say that they're being diversified.
And there's
like let's pick things that actually deserve it, not just because it is diversity like
and the spotlight is really shown on that when the performance is actually just not that good,
right? Like this performance is not like, oh my gosh, I can think of other trans people, maybe just
I didn't
one,
like
but
the movie.
Hunter
You could take
Schafer,
Hunter Schafer and nominate her for Best Actress over her.
right?
Like she
Like
did a better
she,
job in Cuckoo than that
right?
movie.
Like she's a
Even though I didn't like the
trans, and
movie.
so right, and so it's like at least pick someone who brought it, who deserves it. Like let's not just pick. To me, it feels like sometimes they just pick these things because it
Well,
checks a box.
it came out towards the end of the year. Everybody's forgot about Cuckoo by now. It's Netflix supported, and they obviously put probably a ton of money towards this promotion and campaign to get her nominated. So she had everything working for her.
It is it is just very interesting how it all works out, how things come down the pipe,
Yeah.
the pipe, whatever you want
But
to say.
now you have all this stuff that happens, and now it's revealed that this person that was nominated for Best Actress is actually just kind of a shitty person, based on her
Right.
past and things she's tweeted and things like that.
And so I will just say something about the Hollywood scene, community. I don't know what you want to call it, but it does seem like, when you see someone rise to the top, there's always people trying to take you down. I will say that. So
they did this movie a disservice by nominating it for 13 Academy Awards, because now people are going to be rabidly against it like never before.
Yeah, I don't know. So it is unfortunate. Sometimes things work out to where they almost just seem a little too like staged or something. It's just sometimes it's weird how things transpire. Kind of like with the Blake and Justin stuff, which guys, let me know too. Do we need a deep dive into this Blake
Michelle's
Lively
chomping at the bit to do a deep dive into
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni stuff? I mean, it is transpiring into a huge thing. But anyway, it is very interesting how these things happen in Hollywood. But yeah, so I just want to kind of quickly talk about what people found that they are pulling from her past, that people are upset about. I feel like when you're in the limelight, right? Is that what you say? You should know that they're going to go investigate you. If you've done something bad, they're going to find out about it, and they're going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. And so let me just see here. I was able to. She has since deleted her Twitter, because I guess all of these things were from her Twitter, and they were older things. It's not like she said them recently, but after
how
looking,
dumb of Netflix to leave this stuff up. Like you should be going through with a fine tooth comb her past tweets and stuff.
Yeah, I guess they don't like investigate who they're hiring for sure. But so she has since deleted her Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and she has made a formal apology. Of course, her co-stars are getting involved and saying that. I know Zoe has come out and said that of course
she doesn't support it.
It's unfortunate she does not support
the funny
any
thing is she was actually unfollowed by the Academy's like official Instagram account or something. I guess she's still on Instagram. The actress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember her name off the top of my head. It's like Karla.
Okay.
Something.
So without going on about this for too long, so one of the posts was dated November of 2020, and let's see here. It was translated because it was wrote in Spanish, but she said, sorry, is it just me, or are there more Muslims in Spain? Every time I pick up my daughter from school, there are more women with their hair covered and their skirts down to their heels. Next year, instead of English, we'll have to teach Arabic.
Yeah.
So, there are always people who think that it's a good idea to just post their every thought to the public. It reminds me of Facebook back in the day. Like you would literally just write the dumbest random crap on there. Like I mean, it's kind of what Twitter is today or X is today. Like, on my way to the mall. Hope I find something good. Like, I found some really like just dumb, cringy posts from Facebook back in the day, which I do no longer have now. But anyway, so there was that about her, disdain for Muslims, I guess, which is interesting, because she is, I guess, I don't know, is Hispanic the right term for her? I don't know, like her ethnicity or anything, but so.
Well, you can be racist. I mean, all different races.
Oh
can be
yeah,
racist,
yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's not exclusive to white people.
Okay, and then it says in another post, she was sharing her thoughts on the whole George Floyd thing, which you remember that was a huge thing. So George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the nationwide demonstrations that occurred in response to the murder at the hands of the police. Let's see. Okay, so this is what she said. She said, honestly, I think very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict swindler, but his death has served to once again demonstrate that there are people who still consider Black lives to be without rights and consider policemen to be assassins. They're all wrong. So she's very, she is
controversial.
Yeah, she's saying things that people would not some things you keep to yourself if you're thinking these things.
Yeah, but at that time she probably wasn't thinking she was going to be nominated for Best Actress, at this point.
Yeah. Okay, and then I think there was one more maybe. Let's see here. Good old ads on the pages. Okay, she added, too many things to reflect on regarding the behavior of our species every time an event occurs. Perhaps it is no longer a question of racism, but of social classes that feel threatened by each other. Maybe that's the only real difference. Okay. And then in another post, so this is when she was criticizing the Academy for its 2021 award show ceremony. Okay, so this was post the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. More and more, the Oscars are looking like a ceremony for independent and protest films. I didn't know if I was watching an Afro-Korean festival, a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or the 8M, which I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what that is. Apart from that, an ugly, ugly gala. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And I find that it's just very, like, ironic. Is that the word? Like, to hear her say all of these, like, racist things when she is in a film about Mexicans, trans, like it's about a man wanting to turn into a woman. Obviously there is the whole, she's an actress, so obviously you have to split, like you have to break apart the difference between the actor and the real person, right? But yeah, so yeah, very, very horrible things that someone has dug up from her past. And so yeah, we'll just end this topic now by saying I don't think she's going to win anything.
No, she's certainly not going to win anything, and I would even go as far as to say I think she might be removed. I think they might do something
from the list.
I think they might do something unprecedented in the next few weeks and take her off and put somebody back in her spot.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that has ever been done.
Right.
I don't know. I know there was some controversy about Adrienne Rosenberg. I think is that her name?
I'm not sure.
How she had like other actresses like petitioning for her to get the nomination for Best Actress. I think that was it was either last year or the year before. Mm-hmm. And people were thinking she was going to get taken off, but she didn't. But that was like a minor thing compared to this. I don't know. I don't know if she'll make it. Yeah. To Best Actress or not.
Not looking good.
I think because of this, like honestly, and the backlash, I don't know like how much Emilia Pérez will win at all at the Oscars. Like they might lose every single award.
Right.
Whereas if people were more accepting of the film being nominated and this hadn't happened, Honestly, I could see Emilia Pérez probably walking home with Best Picture.
It just kind of goes to show that you can be so close to, the top of the hill. Like, so she was so close she could taste it. Is that the expression? I feel like I'm always struggling for these expressions I'm trying to say. And because of something or things that she said in her past, gone.
Yeah.
Done. Over.
Well, I mean, I don't
so
think
let that be a lesson to you folks out there. Always think of your future self when you're saying something.
It'll be very interesting to see what transpires over the next few weeks, and they might just leave her in there because, like you said, it's all a show anyway. They want to create controversy and ratings, and they might just keep her in there anyway.
This will possibly. I mean, you always have like people who are like, I'm boycotting. I'm not watching this, but like people might tune in just because of this.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
that is true.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next story. We've got some Scream 7 news.
Mm-hmm.
You got Matthew Lillard coming back. He what did he post this on X or something where he wrote on a piece of paper? He was like, "My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me."
I'm not sure if it was X or just like Instagram, but
that was basically indicating he was coming back. And then we got Scott Foley, to a lesser extent. I don't know too many people that care too much or even talking about too much. He's coming back, but he was the killer in Scream 3, Nev's brother.
Yeah,
in that movie. He's coming back. So both these people are dead in the franchise,
right?
So I guess like the only way you bring them back is either you're resurrecting them from the dead or saying they didn't really die,
right?
Or it's like some kind of stupid flashback stuff, or people seeing stuff like she saw Skeet Ulrich in the Spring 2022.
I'm just gonna say it now. I'm not a fan of it. Like
it's pretty stupid, and the fact that they would even promote it like so far ahead of time is the stupidest part.
So this is another topic that I would love to just go on a rant about movies just telling us too much nowadays. Like they want to leave no surprises to us, it feels like, because they just want to like build the hype. But it's like, don't you realize that this it's like a catch. Here I go again with the phrases, the expressions, a catch-22. What is that expression?
Catch-22.
Yeah, catch-22, where like, yeah, you want to build the hype, but at the same time, you're also like ruining it all because there's just no surprise. Like, wouldn't it be cooler if you're watching the movie and then they pop up and you just don't know it? Kind of like back, when we had the Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it's like everybody knew.
Everybody was speculating,
but they didn't know.
Right. So you didn't know, you weren't sure, and it made everybody so excited, and everybody went to see, and they're like sitting there. I just remember like waiting for when the moment was going to be, and they did a really good job with that movie without going on a side thing here. Yeah. A really good thing with that movie to where there were so many times where you like didn't know if it was going to be the moment or not.
Yeah,
or who it was going to be. Which Spider-Man?
About them being in it before it came out, but like you didn't know until you knew, you watched it, and like there could be leaked stuff with, Matthew Lillard was on set this day or whatever, so he's definitely going to be in it, but you don't know until you see it because he could have just been visiting or something,
Like, this is like them confirming it. And so, I definitely, my opinion is it's definitely going to be along the lines of flashbacks, or like they did with her dad, her seeing his like ghost or whatever, which I'm not a fan of. I feel like honestly, Matthew Lillard just really wanted to come back because he's kind of like, he was in Five Nights at Freddy or whatever, but I just feel like, he wants to be a part of something that's big again. And I mean, I'm not saying that people didn't. I do feel like people were asking for him to come back or whatever, even though it doesn't make sense. It
literally doesn't make any sense.
It literally doesn't make any sense. And so I feel like they're just coming up with whatever they can.
You remember those TVs we had when we were kids, the big CRT TVs,
right?
Those things weighed 2,000 pounds. If that falls on your head, which it didn't, Scream, you're dead.
Yeah.
No fans.
So yeah, it could be obviously a flashback. It could be the ghost thing.
Or it could be that this movie is going to be extremely meta and it takes place in the real world outside the Scream franchise. And it has the actors from Scream in it. They could go a Wes Craven's New Nightmare route, which I don't know if you've seen Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but that's basically, it has Heather Langenkamp playing herself in it. And then Freddy's infiltrating her real world life.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be like a super meta thing.
But hold on. What was we literally talked about this on a live stream. What was the movie that had Hayden Panettiere? Is that how you say her name? And Emma Robertson. Remember where they were like...
Yeah, it's Scream 4.
Okay, so they've done this before.
Yeah.
Where you're like making fun, like you're aware of your...
Well, they created their own slasher franchise that mimics Scream within their own franchise with Stab. That's how they got away with that.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
this would be even more meta. Like Scream would exist in this world. So, Neve Campbell would be a real person. They could bring back all the actors.
Right.
Rose McGowan could come back. Everett Skeet Ulrich could come back. And it could take place in the real world. And then there's a real life ghost face, like trying to mimic the movies.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If they want to go something like that.
This movie, this franchise, that's not out of the realm of possibility for it.
No, and it could be something different than that, along the same lines, but different, to maybe be kind of an homage to Wes Craven and what he did, and just the whole meta aspect of Scream. I mean, Scream's always been meta. Like, they've always been talking about other horror movies and things like that. But I don't know.
Well, you have to remember, too, Matthew Lillard's character. Wasn't he the one that like talked about scary movies?
No, that was actually Jamie Kennedy.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
you could bring him back as well, Randy.
Okay. I was thinking that he was one of them that was like...
I mean, they did. They all talked about scary movies. Like when him and Billy Loomis did the monologue at the end, they were talking about scary movies.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it gets on my nerves. I'm not going to say that I'm not like interested. I'm not going to pretend like... I don't want to see this, but there is like a part of me that does get annoyed that they just like don't ever want to let these franchises die and just like leave them alone, like sometimes they just keep going and keep going. But I mean, if people are still watching them and people are still digging them, like, I guess why not? But
I mean, on the surface, it seems very stupid that you would advertise this, but also it could mean that they're doing something cool and different with it. To the point where they would have to advertise that they were going to be in it, because when they show the first trailer, it's going to be so obvious that they are.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to show them. Like, if it is a meta thing, they would have to show that in the trailer, right?
Do you remember when we're supposed to be getting this?
I actually think it's next year. I think it's 2026. We're supposed to be getting this. But yeah, I mean, you don't have your two lead actresses that they built the first two of this new trilogy with anymore. Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to go in a completely different, like, wild direction.
I thought that they had ended up getting Melissa back.
No, not officially. Not that I've seen.
Really? I could have sworn that, like, I know that
there was like a rumor that she was talking to him again or something, I think, but I don't think anything ever happened with it.
Yeah, I thought for some reason they had like worked that out.
But this is being directed by the guy that wrote the first one.
Okay.
Kevin Williamson. So he's actually like writing it and directing it.
Interesting.
And I don't know. He could be going for that old school, like, meta approach, kind of riffing off of what Craven did for New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Could be that. I don't know.
All right. What else do we got?
We got Squid Game. We just finished season 2 of Squid Game. Season 3. I almost said squeezing 3.
Squeezing 3.
Season 3 of Squid Game is coming on June 27th, 2025, which is pretty soon. I mean, we don't have to wait too long.
Yeah. We I mean, we knew when we finished season 2 that we were going to get season 3 this year.
Yeah, then they put that on there.
I think that it was like, coming 2025, I think it said, or something.
Yeah, technically season 2 would have been 2024.
Because I think season 2, didn't it come out like the day after Christmas?
Yeah, it was 2024.
Yeah. So yeah, it said like coming 2025. So we knew it was coming. Didn't know a date. They've announced it.
This will be exactly 6 months later.
Yeah. So very excited. You know, it's always like, I know I just said that they need to learn like when to let franchises die or whatever, but it is always kind of sad, you know, when because this is going to be the last season apparently. So, but you know, I think it'll be hopefully a good conclusion to the show because it was a lot of fun and different, and I've enjoyed it so far. So,
absolutely, I'm excited. We've got some Superman stuff. James Gunn confirms absolutely zero CG in Superman's flying face after TV spot raises eyebrows. So people got upset when they saw Superman. I didn't even watch, like, I just saw a clip. Was it like a whole trailer? Do you know? Or was it just a clip?
I'm not sure.
All I saw was a sequence of him flying, and then they like switched the camera around and show his face.
Yeah.
And that's all I saw. Apparently people said it looked fake and stuff. And James Gunn confirmed that it was all natural.
Yeah.
Like it was actually his face.
Yeah. So. Again, it's just, I mean, it's the name of the game, you know. People like to complain. Mm-hmm. People like to complain. People, I don't know, like sometimes it's easier to talk shit about stuff than it is to talk good about stuff. Like hate and negativity, like it's a mold, you know, like it grows. Yeah. It's just, yeah. So I don't know. I know that you haven't really been in excited for the movie coming out. Mm-hmm. It is my number one most anticipated.
What? That was number one? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember it was on your list. I don't remember it being number one.
Oh my God. See what I mean? I did a whole ass video with you and you don't remember. I think you were just as shocked then as you are now.
Damn. It's because of the dog. Huh?
Ken is like living with an old man with Alzheimer's. Every day I have to tell him who he is. And he's like,
I'm surprised.
What? I remember. What? You know, it's like real life notebook over here.
Or 51st dates. We have to make me remember I've got kids and we're married every day.
I guess. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I just you said it was the dog, remember? You're like, it's a dog, isn't it? It's a dog. And you know, the dog is cute as hell. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think that it looks like a really fun. I'm assuming it's coming out in the summer. I can't even remember, but this has to be a summer like.
And I think that's the backlash against it, is that it looks too cute and too fun. Gotcha. Whereas there's people that are still hung up on the Zack Snyder era of Superman. Yeah. His is very dark and brooding and serious, you know.
Yeah,
so people don't want this iteration. They want to go back to the Henry Cavill stuff, which honestly, like, I'm kind of in that boat too. But
see,
I'm going to give it a chance.
I think that we do need to what's the word? Sissify it a little bit. Not too much.
Superman is about hope,
but like
and
let's make it let's make it to where it is okay if you bring your kids. Because I don't know, it's just fun, you know, being someone who has a family. It's just fun when you can get excited about a movie together as a whole family. And you can.
Well, I took our son to see Batman versus Superman when he was 5.
Well, we won't talk about your parenting choices.
Do you bleed?
You must have been like really desperate to go see that or something.
Wait, we saw it with your brothers. Yeah, we all saw.
Gotcha. You know, as far as like the image goes, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of like bad CGI or whatever. I don't think that it looks terrible like everybody's saying, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold my judgment and wait for the movie. I'm gonna quit watching the trailers.
That's what you should do.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see it, and I think it'll be a fun movie that we can all go see. You know, like Twisters, how that was.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I agree with you. Speaking of movies, what the fuck is a movie? Is what Quentin Tarantino. Do you like that segue?
Yeah,
that's what Quentin Tarantino said recently when he was talking about the age of streaming and how just movies feel unimportant right now. I do want to make that distinction because I feel like people were like, when they heard that, they're like, what are you talking about? There's been good movies since 2019, because he cites 2019 as being like the last great year for cinema.
Yeah. Which
I would agree, both on just movies feeling important and also the quality of the movies that came out that year were just like unprecedented. But But he was commenting on just how movies nowadays, they'll come out in the theaters, then they'll be on streaming in 2 weeks, and everything just feels so like unimportant and
Right.
not must see, at least in the theaters, like it felt back even 5 years ago before the pandemic, which I would agree with.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the time that we live in. It is what we have created. Or I'm not sure if it's what we've created, but just the people who put this stuff out. I mean, you know, they have just made it to where, like you said, you don't have to wait too long anymore to watch stuff if you don't make it to the theater. There's a lot of, we've done a whole video on this about going to the theater. There's a lot of factors to consider. Not everybody can go to the movie easily or the theater easily. There's cost involved, time involved. Heck, even watching a movie at home can be difficult sometimes. So, but yeah, I think this kind of goes along the line. Like, to me, what I take from him saying that is just how there's something that, like, the thing that just comes to my mind is him maybe talking about how they pump out like streaming movies so much now. Like,
Yeah,
there's
he was
just,
commenting on that as well.
yeah, I like, for me, that's just what like sticks out is just we have so many options now. I mean, there's just so many movies coming out every day, every weekend or whatever, on so many different streaming platforms, and it's
Everything
just like,
kind of feels a little diluted.
well, it just, yeah, it's just, there's just so much, and that kind of goes into, again, just like our society now, like the consumerism or whatever. Like, we just have so much of everything, like there's just always something in our face, watch this, buy this, do that. And so it's just kind of all the same thing. There's just so much. I know you've talked about this before, with the streaming movies. It's like you watch it and sure, it might have been fine, but you forget about it the next day.
That's pretty much 95% of the movies I've watched on Netflix.
Yeah, it's like I'm sure that we've watched so many, pretty good movies, but it's like, could you even remember them? Like, are they still in your memory? Like,
Some are. Some are.
Yeah, and so I mean, that does kind of go into.
But you'll put these movies on Netflix, you'll put a couple of stars that people recognize from like bigger franchises and things. Like Chris Evans is known for Marvel, and he's going to be in this Netflix movie.
Right.
And everybody's supposed to get hyped for it, and they do. It comes out, people watch it, and then they forget about it.
Right.
Because it's not memorable. The movie itself is just not memorable.
Well,
you have this actor in it that was Captain America.
It's just interesting, too, because, like, I feel like movies, like, it should be hard to make a movie. And it just feels like it's really easy now to make these movies.
For some people, they just want to rely on all green screen.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, is it just because we've evolved and it is easier to make movies now? Is it because our standards are lower?
People's techniques have evolved. The way that they make them, obviously they got better equipment now and things, and they just know more about the general art of making movies than they did 50 years ago when people were just out there improvising and coming up with this shit off the top of their head.
Right. So it does go into a discussion. You could kind of have a discussion about, are movies as good as they used to be, or were they harder to make back then? And so there was just more like blood, sweat, and tears that went into them, and it came through on screen. Yeah. To where now, like, it's so easy to make a movie, and so I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of interesting.
When you think about some movies back in the 40s and the 50s, people were literally risking their lives to do like some things in those movies. There's no safety, people on set and stuff.
Yeah, and just the process, like things are just a lot more like streamlined now. Having no knowledge on the being on a movie production, crew or lot or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I will say though, I feel like Quentin Tarantino likes to just say
he's controversial. He likes to say those hot people riled up. Yeah. He's kind of similar to Martin Scorsese. A lot of these older filmmakers will just come out there and just say shit, and they just don't care. Yeah. And Quentin is definitely,
they're just like people. These, and
but also they're some of the greatest filmmakers like ever of all time.
Yeah.
So it's like you tend to, they're things that they say tend to hold weight for some people, whether it's to trigger them or to make people be like, yeah, I agree with you. People always want to talk. That's why Quentin says something and like 50 people run with it as a story.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about right now. But anyway, last story. MrBeast and Roblox CEO are trying to buy TikTok for over $20 billion.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, it was the government trying to go in halvesies on TikTok. Then it was Microsoft, and now it's MrBeast.
There's been talk of like Elon Musk, Microsoft. Yeah. So, I don't want to talk about this too long because I do feel like this is like a little bit political, which also was the Emilia Pérez story a little bit.
Everything's political now.
Pretty much. But yeah, I'll just quickly say, obviously people thought I have never been a TikTok girly.
No,
I don't know. I just luckily never got into it. I'm addicted enough to Instagram and YouTube, so I don't need another
I
streaming.
Get on it at this point.
Yeah, another streaming platform. But I know people love it. And I'll just say this too, without going off again. To me, TikTok doesn't seem, to me, it feels like it's really easy to grow an audience on there. To me, it feels like literally anybody can grow a platform on there.
It was in the beginning. I think it's harder for people getting into it now to do it.
Yeah.
They kind of shifted some things with the algorithm from what I heard. And certainly for me, it's always been hard. I've tried to grow on there, but I've never been able to get past, I think I've got 3,000 followers on
I don't know if you were ever consistent enough. If you're really pumping
I
stuff
go through
out.
spurts, sometimes I'll be every day for a month and then nothing for 6 months, things like that.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's never been very impressive to grow an audience on TikTok. But again, I don't have a TikTok, but it just feels like literally anybody can go viral on there and stuff. I don't know. It's very I feel like growing on Instagram is way harder.
Creating shorts for me is just the actual content creation is way harder than videos. I feel because I like to talk a lot, or in my videos, so it feels like it takes me a lot longer to edit the content. You're not saying the content's not hard to make. You're just saying as far as the algorithm, it's not
right. It just feels like there's a spot for everybody on TikTok, kind of thing. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Well, I was just gonna say, going back to the topic at bay here. I know MrBeast has had his controversy as well. It kind of goes into just the, once you get to the top, there's only one way down, or there's only one way to go, and it's down.
Or up even further.
Well, I don't know.
Or lateral moves.
It just feels like people who seemingly have it all, who are really big and powerful, it seems like eventually they have their downfall.
Yeah.
Which again, even Taylor Swift, okay? She's getting involved in this Blake Lively and Justin stuff. And so that's very interesting to me as well. But anyway.
I feel like with MrBeast, he may have a downfall as far as a creator, but if he ends up going into TikTok, then he can be more behind the scenes and get out of the spotlight. Nobody's really going to care what he does or says anymore.
Yeah, well.
So this might be his strategy.
Yeah.
To just diversify himself.
I was going to say, I do think there is something positive about a younger generation being in charge of something.
Yeah, he could be the next Zuckerberg or something of TikTok.
Yeah, which I don't even how old is Zuckerberg? I don't feel like he's that old.
He's our age, I think. Maybe a little bit older.
Okay, yeah.
He's probably early 40s, I think, by now.
So I think that it's good to have a younger generation in charge of something that is so popular and, mainstream or whatever. We don't want just a bunch of old people in charge of everything, we need to things just being passed down from generation to generation.
The last 10 years of our presidents being over 75.
Right. Where are younger, respectable members of society running for president?
They're out there, but nobody trusts them.
I guess they just don't have enough money. I don't know. I don't get it.
Oh, that's what it is.
But anyway, I do think that it's interesting. I don't know if it'll, I don't know how that works. Like, do you think that they are going to go for that? Like, who makes, like, does President Trump have to approve this? Because he's the one that was going to ban it. So it's like
going through the government somehow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Basically, from what I understand, like an American entity has to purchase the rights to TikTok over here.
Right. But like, was that the only
That's the only way it can remain in the States.
But like, was that the only requirement? Does he then have to agree on who that American person was?
Really, no. Yeah. I just know like.
Anyway, there you go. Where's the TikTok news for you?
There you go. That's the news. We spent about an hour talking about the news, but we haven't talked about the news in a while, so I think that was okay. And now the next part of the podcast, we're going to talk about some movies we watched.
We better make it quick because.
Well, there might be some things to talk about. This might just have to be a longer podcast.
Well,
episode.
we've got a date here.
We do. We're actually after this, we're going to see
Companion.
Yeah. So we'll have a review for that at some point. But
so
just going through, I'll start with this one because we watched this on New Year's Eve. I don't think we've talked about it, but My Old Ass we watched.
Oh my God, you're really going back.
I'm going back. We don't have to talk too long on some of these movies. Some we can talk more on than others. But
My Old Ass.
My Old Ass was fun. Coming of age, it was fine.
My Old Ass, yeah, it was. I feel like it had potential.
Yeah.
To be like really good, but it was just missing something.
Well, for me, it's like they got Aubrey Plaza all over the promotional material and posters. She's in it for like 5 minutes.
Right.
Not to spoil the movie, but it's not about it is about her, but it's not about her.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what my problem was. I don't know. It was missing something. It was definitely trying to meet those emotional.
Hit those emotional
beats. But I wanted to fill them. I did a little bit, but I don't know, I was missing something. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I think I gave it a 3.5, which looking back on it, maybe I should have gave it a 3. Snack Shack we watched as well. That was a tough start.
It was.
I didn't like the first 30 minutes because it was so hyper and the characters I wasn't super into them, but it actually ended up being pretty good by the time we got to the end of it.
Yeah, I did not like the beginning either. I'm like,
reminded me of the way back with the pool setting and stuff. Just kind of had that vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it did end up being pretty enjoyable for me. I did enjoy it by the end of it. But yeah, not the best opening for me. Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't.
The kids are very annoying.
Yeah.
In the beginning. But I warmed up to them.
Yeah.
Warmed up to them. So that was pretty decent.
I'd still recommend watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good, again, coming of age movie.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get a lot of those kind of in the mainstream nowadays. This is one, I want to talk about a little bit. Thelma. We watched Thelma, which is basically about an old lady that gets involved with some shady people, and she has to. She loses $10,000. She has to get her money back.
It's about an old lady and a family.
Yeah.
Her grandson.
Yeah.
Specifically, it seems like she has from what we could tell, she has a good relationship with her family. She's alone now. Her husband has passed away.
She's losing her faculties.
Or
maybe a little dementia going on there. Just a little bit. Just a touch of dementia here and there.
Maybe. But yeah, it was really I had heard good things about it, and so I'd suggested we watch it.
That actress is really in her 90s though.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up, I really liked it. It was, she ends up getting scammed. She thinks that her grandson is in trouble, and she basically sends some money because she thinks that it's gonna, save him or whatever. And it ends up being a scam. And so you get to follow her on a journey to get her money back.
The actress name is June Squibb. You want to talk about somebody that should have been nominated for Best Actress? I legitimately think she should have.
Thelma, yeah.
Because she's in her 90s. It's a really good performance, and she like leads the entire film.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't see any reason why she shouldn't have been nominated for Best Actress, other than it's an independent movie that doesn't have a lot of money to promote her.
Yeah.
Which is the problem with the Oscars anyway.
It was just a precious movie. But it's like, it's funny. It's funny and inappropriate, but it's also precious and sweet at the same time. Like when I'm watching it, I'm definitely remembering my grandma who has since passed away. And it was really cute.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It had a great cast too. Like you had Richard Roundtree in this movie, and he passed away, I think, last year. And that's the guy that played Shaft, like way back in the day.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
But he's been in tons of other stuff. But this was his last movie, and I thought he was great. Like, what a way to go out! Like, I thought him and her, like, they had some really good, like, emotional moments and stuff towards the end.
Yeah.
Parker Posey's in the movie. You got the guy that was in like the Avengers, the Shield guy that was in it, like he plays the dad. Then you got Malcolm McDowell in the movie as well. So
I don't know a lot of these names. I'm not gonna lie, but I just know the grandson was in the White Lotus. That's when we first saw him.
Good cast. I highly recommend that you watch Thelma. That was on Hulu, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. On the flip side, we watched Bottoms, and that was pretty bottom of the barrel for me. That was.
Kent has been asking to watch this movie for months.
I was under the assumption from people in the film movie community it was actually like good.
I'm sorry. So. I had no desire to watch this movie, but I finally, so we have these, well, you picked the last movie. Let's take turns. And so, I
always pick like a banger, and then I pick something that's.
I always joke that I pick good movies, and so I'm like, I should pick all of our movies. But yeah, Bottoms, I did not like that.
I give it a 2 on Letterboxd.
Did not like it. I don't like that actress though. So.
Yeah, her. What was she in? What was the movie?
Shiva Baby.
Shiva Baby. Yeah, that's what we always call her now since we watched that. I liked her in. I still really like the movie Bodies. So I thought she was good in that.
Yeah.
But this movie was, I don't know, like watching it, I had never felt so old in my entire life. I'm like, is this what the kids are into now? Like this just felt like a movie that was like so out of touch with anything that I'm into or can resonate with.
Well,
and it is about like lesbians, high school girls that are lesbians that start a fight club.
Yeah.
To like basically get with other girls.
I do feel like this movie though was like self-aware. I don't know. I feel like they were trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't funny to me. It was stupid.
Yeah. If you're watching this and you're like 15 or 16, you'll probably enjoy Bottoms.
Honestly, I don't think that had anything to do with it.
For me, it did.
I don't think it had to do with not being the right age or anything. I just don't think it was good.
It was a terrible movie for me. We also watched We Live in Time with Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
I didn't love this movie. Obviously it's an uphill battle if Florence Pugh's cast in the movie for me, but
right.
It was okay.
Yeah, I was kind of interested in this one. I kept asking you if you were going to get it because I did want to like check it out because I do like the dramas. I do like the, emotional movies. I knew that this was about the character, having cancer, and it was supposed to like follow them through their like a chunk of time.
Yeah.
And so to me, I don't know, it just seemed like I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those movies that I cry about, and so I didn't think it was terrible. We have two, like I feel like they're two well-known actor and actresses, capable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I feel like that they did fine. I don't know. I think maybe what my problem was is that I don't think that I bought that they were in love. It felt more
Andrew's like
sexual.
20 years older than her too.
Well, that doesn't really matter.
Oh, that doesn't bother you? But the older ladies with the younger guys bother you?
Well, I don't see their age difference that much.
Well, I think that's because Florence Pugh, maybe to her credit, she carries herself older, I think. But she's in her mid-20s, I think. maybe late 20s by now, but she was definitely in her early 20s when she did like Midsummer 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
She's not out of her 20s. I know that.
I didn't quite believe that they had this like that they were just like head over heels for each other. I don't know. Like, I mean, they were trying to make me think that for sure.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't buy into it.
I couldn't engage in it either. Maybe a little bit with like the kid aspect.
And it was almost. It almost felt a little bit like a cooking show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like because she's like
I didn't
a
hate
chef.
some of those aspects. I kind of like the cooking stuff sometimes.
I mean, it had a good message. I mean, you've got someone going through this horrible thing, and her being a chef is really important to her. So anyway, yeah, I don't know.
It was okay.
I didn't hate
it
it.
3 stars.
I was expecting to like it a lot more though.
Next up, I'm looking through all these movies that I watched to get the ones we watched, but we watched The Bike Riders. I really liked this movie. I don't think that you loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I like The Bike Riders a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get past the accent.
The Jodie Comer accent.
Terrible.
I mean, it was
terrible.
Was it terrible? I thought it was good though.
Terrible.
But I think that's what she was going for. Like she was just accurate.
She was going for terrible.
She was accurate
well,
for what that character or like type of accent is. And I thought she was really good at it.
It was too over the top for me. It almost felt comical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you said that you like that.
She's a big part of the movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, she's like essentially narrating the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, I just like that time period, like 60s, 70s, like Americana. I don't know. I think the film captured it pretty perfectly. It just felt like a movie that would come out in the 90s. I liked everybody in it. I liked Tom Hardy. I liked Austin.
Yeah,
Butler.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I hated it or anything. She just got on my nerves, and she is a big part of it. I wasn't like completely checked out or anything. But I also was like ready for it to be over.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I mean, to me, like she acted like I thought her performance was as memorable as the one woman in Banshees of Inisherin that kept saying feckin', just the way that she talked.
No.
It was kind of along
not
the same lines
to me.
for me. We saw A Real Pain. We're getting closer. This was, I think, last week and we watched this.
Yeah.
Maybe the weekend before. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago.
I was a little disappointed with this one.
Yeah. I gave it 3.5. I thought it was good, but yeah.
Yeah,
it was a streaming watch for me.
I don't know. It was I mean, we talk about like slice of life movies all the time, and I do feel like this is kind of one of those a little bit. It was a beautiful movie. Like it was beautiful. Yeah. In my opinion. You act like you have no reaction to that.
Well, they were in I didn't know if you meant like
it was shot
emotionally beautiful or it was shot beautiful.
It looked good, and we watched it on streaming. Good. So I know you.
It sucks it didn't get a 4K because I think it just got a Blu-ray.
But I thought that like all of that was really good or whatever. And like the actors were great.
Yeah, you had Kieran Culkin, who's essentially playing Roman from Succession. Like the character's not too different.
Yeah.
Just in this, he's Jewish.
He's kind of. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if that's just him and everything.
It's probably just him.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him like get up on stage and stuff.
And he's funny.
One interesting, like going back to the Oscars real quick, he's nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and so is Jeremy Strong from Succession. So
we shared that. We shared that image. Vote for me. Absolutely not.
Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't even make that connection at that
time.
Oh
my God.
I thought it was just
Jesus. It was a clip from Succession. An image. Yeah. So I don't know. I liked it. It was just kind of like, where is this going? Like, I don't know. I just didn't feel like, I'm like, what is this telling? Like they made it sound like it was going to be a lot about like this grandma that they were going to go see, which she was dead. I guess I wasn't under that. And I guess I
just
knew
about them. They had different personalities and how they were both kind of jealous of each other in a way. Like they both felt like they were missing something that the other one had. And how together maybe they were.
Yeah. Well, they're cousins.
the best versions of themselves together, but separated, they were missing something. I don't know.
Yeah,
some kind of theme with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting as far as the plot goes. I mean, I guess I knew that the grandma was dead because, like, that's literally in the trailer, like where they're sad about it or whatever. But I don't know. It's very like heavily into the whole like Hitler, like the
Well, yeah, I mean,
Nazi.
they're Jewish cousins. They're going back there to learn about their past.
Yeah. I mean, they go to like a concentration camp and everything. So like, I feel like that was like a big part of the movie.
I guess Eisenberg's Jewish.
He might be. I think he is. So I don't know
if Kieran is or not. I don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But
so it was kind of like almost like a little bit like a historical movie. Like they talk a lot.
Learned some stuff.
They talk a lot about that stuff.
I liked it.
I mean,
it was written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg as well. And star, and I thought he did a good job. You know, he hasn't directed a whole bunch, but
yeah. Which to me, he's like very like spazzy, and he's like that in this movie.
Well, the movie felt like the inside of his head.
Yes,
because the movie itself is like really manic and spazzy.
I feel like he acts the same in everything too, just very like ADD, ADHD, or whatever. Just like, and like
he is like that. But I've always liked Jesse Eisenberg. Like even though like he borderlines on annoying, like when he's in stuff like Batman versus Superman, like as Lex Luthor, it's a little annoying, but most of the things he's in I generally enjoy.
Yeah, I don't know, there was just something missing in that one for me. I will say though, the ending kind of broke my heart a little bit.
Well, then the movie worked.
Just seeing Karen sitting there in the airport.
Well, that's what it's about. He's lonely, and obviously something wrong with him.
He was invited though.
And he was invited, but
he was invited, but at the end of the day, he still said no, and so it's just kind of like an interesting take on people. Like I feel like that is like relatable to people. It's like you want help, or you want attention, or you want love, but sometimes even when you get it, it's like you still push it away.
You don't feel like you deserve it,
or maybe not even that. It's just like humans are messed up. We are. Like, yeah. So anyway, all right, keep going.
I feel like I can relate to that, honestly. A Different Man. We watched this right after A Real Pain. I did not want to watch this at all.
You didn't?
Because it's not that he has a disfigured face and that's why I didn't want to watch it. That guy's in like I hate Under the Skin.
Yeah.
So I just associate him like with negativity in like my mind. So I didn't want to watch it because that movie makes me feel weird. So by proxy, he makes me feel weird. But I really like this movie a lot.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I did.
Pretty good. It was different.
It was, and I thought that guy was really good in it too, and it made me like him. Like if he's in other stuff, I won't have that same like negative outlook on him. I thought he was really good.
Well, I mean, I felt like Sebastian was good too.
Yeah, Sebastian Stan was great. I know he's nominated for The Apprentice, but like
we still need to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to see that. But he was great in this as well. So I almost feel like his nomination for that could maybe be like lumped in with this movie too. Like maybe that's why he was nominated, because he put like two really good performances in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good movie about he's disfigured.
It was like a very
they give him the same like disfigurement that the actual actor in the movie has.
Well, it's about
so it's kind of confusing. It confused you at first.
Well, it's about changing yourself because you think that that's going to make you fit in, be happier, but it ends up being the very thing that like ruins his life.
Yeah.
Like he sees someone else that had the disability or whatever that he had, but he's like very confident.
It a lot better.
Yeah, he deals with it. So it kind of goes into the whole like your life is what you make it, or your life is like what when you get lemons, make lemonade type of thing. Like you can have something that's quote unquote crappy or whatever, but two different people can handle things two different ways. Kind of like, okay, so I don't know if this is going off. We really need to wrap this up. But going into like, you've heard the story of two sons were raised up with an alcoholic father. One ended up becoming an alcoholic too. One ended up being the complete opposite of that. Like you can learn to do two different things.
Yeah, I just I really like that guy's performance because it was so like you didn't understand, like it was so like layered, like you didn't understand what his motivations were entirely.
Oh
Or,
yeah,
like who he actually was, because he was so nice,
right,
but at the same time he was literally ruining Sebastian Stan's life.
right.
Like
And
the
it's like,
entire movie.
are you low key
Are you doing
liking
this
this,
intentionally?
or is it
Like
his
what
own
is actually
doing?
going on here? But it was like he played it so well where
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know like at
yeah,
any point in the movie, even by the time we got to the end
right.
of the film. Um, Your Monster we watched.
Mm-hmm.
This was a, I guess, cute romantic horror
Yeah,
rom-com horror film.
it was okay.
It was fine.
It was definitely an interesting take, for sure. I feel like it was definitely had some like it had a message. I feel like,
Yeah,
um,
I like the ending.
but
I like the ending. The ending kind of elevated.
I don't know. To me, the character, the girl Melissa, whatever her name was in the movie, her character was just annoying. She was like very whiny. Which, granted, she did have cancer. You know, she was kind of dealt a shitty hand. Her boyfriend
Yeah.
breaks up with her and stuff. But like she's just like very whiny in the movie, and it just kind of like got on my nerves a little bit. But
Yeah, it was fun. I gave it 3 stars. Lastly, the movie we watched last night, Heretic.
Heretic.
A24's
It's a banger.
Heretic, which was a big one that we hadn't watched yet. You
Yep.
liked it?
It was a banger. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it too.
I mean, this is another topic that I could talk about for days.
Really into
religion,
theology. Like I love the way Hugh Grant just like breaks everything down.
Oh my God. I feel like he was like preaching to me.
Yeah, he's so good. Another one that's like this movie could have been nominated for
He
Best
should have been
Picture, and
nominated.
he should have been nominated for
His
Best Actor.
performance
100%.
was fantastic.
But again, it just speaks to the Academy. It's like we can't let too many of these genre films in here, even though they got something to say. And the horror genre maybe has the most to say of any genre.
I do think that Hugh Grant, I feel like he's kind of known for being an asshole in real life. So,
oh, is he?
Yeah, so that could play into it.
I don't know. He was in this, he seems so nice, like in the behind the scenes.
He's actually, if you watch interviews with him, he's an asshole. I've seen him.
Well, you know what?
He's very like, he does not entertain any kind of questions. He'll just be like,
really? I didn't know.
No.
I don't care about that behind the scenes stuff,
No, I'm just saying, like, I think he actually is kind of rude a little bit, but
he's been in so much stuff like over the past couple of years. Like people cast him in everything. Like
he
has to be like, maybe he's rude to the press, but like he has to not be rude on set. Like he has to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, but he does strike me as like a perfectionist. But I don't know. I thought he was great though.
I mean, I did too. I'm not saying I didn't.
I like the girls in it as well.
I'm just saying that maybe that plays into why he wasn't nominated. People don't like him off the screen.
True.
Because it do be like that.
Yeah, but this was a movie that it starts off one way and you're not exactly sure like where it's going to go or what's going to happen, and then some stuff actually starts happening.
Well, I feel like you did. I knew more than you did.
Yeah.
You kind of said that a lot got ruined for you based on the title screen or whatever, because it was like showing some stuff. But I had seen like trailers and stuff, so I knew like basically what it was about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. It definitely like
go into it
makes you question all of religion, like how
and it is kind of like heavy-handed in how it handles it, but at the same time, like I didn't mind it because the movie was done so well and the performances were so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like in a lesser movie it would have bothered me, but in this movie it didn't. Like stuff is pretty on the nose, but it's in a way that feels good and handled well, I guess.
Yep.
But that's the Heretic, and that's the podcast.
This is a long one.
This is a long one. I mean, this isn't any longer than like a live stream
I know
or anything, but
I know.
Hopefully you guys like it. I'm gonna look at the camera real quick before we get off here. But thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't.
Make sure if you're listening,
can they subscribe to our podcast feed?
You can follow. You can follow.
Yeah, follow our podcast feed. Help us out. Give us a rating as well on Apple Podcasts.
You can do ratings. You can comment on there. So definitely do that if you are listening on one of those platforms.
Unless you're going to give us anything less than 5 stars, then don't rate us.
Yeah. But thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Episode 2. And we do promise to have some video content as well soon because we are seeing Companion. So we'll have a review for that.
Yep.
But thank y'all for watching. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Bye, guys.